In the spirit of So Bad It's Good, I decided that instead of looking at just one Fantastic Four movie this week, that we would look at two. And to help me out, I've brought my Unpop Podcast co-host Kevin along for the ride.
I'm here for the fun.
So Kevin, I had you watch the 2005 Fantastic Four with me this week, and you loved it. It's your favorite movie ever.
You strapped me to a chair and held my eyeballs open, and I smiled at you and said, "It's great. Can I go now?"
My first question to you is, how much do you know about the Fantastic Four? Because for their second big screen outing, because there is a 1990s version of the Fantastic Four movie that was made strictly to hold on to the rights. It was never released publicly. If you make a video about that and use any clips, they will come after you with copyright so hard.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. If you look up, here's a photo of it. I'm putting a photo up right here. Here's a photo. This is what it looked like. It's pretty funny.
Oh my God. Here's what I know about the Fantastic Four. One, they are Marvel's first family. They came out in, I believe, 1967. Reed Richards, classic genius. Sue Storm, she's the lady who has to learn how to control her emotions and her powers because it was written in the 60s. Johnny Storm, her brother, is kind of a hothead. Also, literally a hothead because it was the 60s and we didn't understand how bad puns could be yet. And the Thing never wears a shirt, which I highly approve of.
In the 2015 version, he doesn't wear pants either.
That's great.
It's weird. You guys rock dong.
Fantastic Four 3, rock dong.
Yeah, so with that, let's just dive right in to the 2005 Fantastic Four, because honestly, this is a time capsule. And my favorite thing about this movie is how they set up from the beginning that Reed Richards is super smart, which is, again, his whole thing is being one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. But he's super smart, but also super broke, and he's always right, but he's actually always wrong.
Yeah, I have some questions about who's actually rating the IQs of people in the Marvel Universe. If this is the smartest man in the world, but he can't figure out how to manage a company. Like, I mean, he's just smart when it comes to solving literally one problem at a time, but don't make him a CEO.
One of my favorite things about the Fantastic Four, because he refuses to double check his findings on the solar flare and when it's supposed to hit, even after Sue warns him to, he's just like, no. I know what I'm doing here. I'm smart. You're dumb. And then they all get powers.
This is a Marvel movie, and it's pseudoscience. And we know that it's pseudoscience, but this is like the funniest bit of pseudoscience because if you ask one question about it, it just falls apart. It's like, all right, it's a solar flare, but there's a cloud that's going to circle the Earth at like the right. And he's like, this is what originally created life. But none of it's going to bleed into the Earth's atmosphere at all. It's just going to travel around this one neat little bit, and we're going to be able to watch it, like, from space.
What did you think of the 2005 soundtrack? Because one of the first things that I absolutely laughed at during this movie, which, by the way, whole movie's hilarious, whether it means to or not, but Johnny Storm's intro is to Velvet Revolver.
My response multiple times to the soundtrack of this film was, is that who I think it is? Like, this is, if you were born anytime before, like, 1995, you know every artist on this soundtrack, for better or for worse. Johnny Storm coming in, riding a motorcycle, kissing his, at that time, girlfriend who's driving a Corvette.
Or just a random lady.
Or just random lady, because he's an underwear model astronaut going to space. To Velvet Revolver seems very of the time.
I like also that Doom, when they get up to the space station, he talks about the shields that are supposed to protect him from the solar flares. And he's like, they're made from, I think he says like the strongest titanium. And then he just proposes to Sue, even though it's never confirmed that they're dating. And she very clearly seems to only work for him.
Do you think he just doesn't read social cues? A year of employing the same woman, and you didn't pick up on the fact that you weren't dating.
She says, like, thank you to him and smiles, and he's like, she wants me. But really, she's just doing her job.
Here's something that I want to throw out there. How is it not a bigger headline that they, like, Victor Von Doom owns a space station, and how is this not already the source of international conflict in this film? Like, having the type of money and power to have that size of a space station of your own accord and just travel seemingly freely back and forth to and from it, regardless of whose airspace it's over, seems like a problem.
It's also kind of funny that he has this space station, and all because the mission with Reed went wrong, his entire board of trustees is like, actually, you're not qualified to run this company anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, they're not wrong.
I mean, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
I like that Dr. Doom's little henchman, Leonard, is just like, I've got you on Larry King, Dr. Doom. This is 2005, and Larry King's huge. And then later on, he's like, Larry King canceled.
Yeah, the thing that I liked about this, and, you know, you and I were chatting about this a little bit, is that you get two different cadences, right? And at this point, it feels like the movie splits into two different movies. So you have, like, kind of the bumbling family comedy of four people with very different personalities who all seem to be attracted to and or get along with each other for one reason or another, while turning into rubber and or nothing at the same time. And then you've got Ben Grimm, who just seemingly wants to, like, eat and live a normal life, but it has no choice but to become Rockman. And this all happens very quickly, while Victor Von Doom very slowly starts to lose everything he had before he went to space, while gaining what seems to be the predominant power of turning into the most conductive form of titanium ever.
So, like, in the 2015 version, the way that everybody gets their powers is something that is related to their powers happens while they're teleporting from this alternate dimension. Doom falls into green goo, Ben gets covered by rocks, Johnny catches on fire, Sue gets hit by energy and turns invisible. You don't really see what happens to Reed. They kind of forgot to make his interesting.
He's touching he's like, oh, a rubber plant. Like a rubber tree.
He was doing the Batmobile with a rubber band like kids used to do in 2005. But I really love that after they have their powers, and, you know, Ben, who we'll talk about, has probably the worst run of it. But there's this moment where Sue's trying to relate to Ben and what they're going through. And she's like, it's Ben, it's just, you know, it sucks. And, like, we're all in this together. And Ben's like, I'm a giant fucking rock and my wife left me. And she's like, yeah, but sometimes I turn invisible and it's really hard. And he's like, I'm a rock.
I mean, we get our little side stories, right? Like, and very quickly they have, like, one heroic moment on a bridge, which seems to be the Rube Goldberg of Fox Marvel movie scenes, where, like, anytime they do one thing right, 5 other things are going wrong that they then have to solve that have nothing to do with them whatsoever, but they're present, so they might as well get there and, like, do it. First, we get, like, the pigeon poop joke, which is good job.
Okay, so we get 2 very, like, dated jokes right away. Ben gets pooped on by a pigeon, and then a jumper comes up next to him, and he's like, oh, you think you have it bad? But then Ben calls him a fruitcake because he's trying to jump off a bridge. And that is such a 2005 reference in Soul, like, line.
There's a lot of 2005 in this movie, from Velvet Revolver to calling people fruitcakes who are about to jump off of a bridge.
There's so many good moments on the bridge, and my favorite moment is when Reed, Johnny, and Sue are blocked by the crowd, and they're like, we got to get over there to Ben. And they're like, we'll never get through this crowd. And Reed's like, well, you can, Sue. Start taking off all your clothes and go invisible. And of course, because it's Jessica Alba, they have her stripped down, and then of course she doesn't stay invisible, so you get that little PG-13 skirting the line of too much, you know, sexual stuff on screen. But then as she's moving through the crowd invisible, and you see people, like, moving out of the way, and you hear a couple people go, and then you just see in the corner of the screen Reed and Johnny just walk around anyways.
Teenage me loved this joke and this moment for many reasons that we don't need to go into. We have to highlight each of their superpowers. Ben stops the truck, right? Johnny saves a child, and his clothes don't burn off because he's saving a child, which is totally fine. Don't question it. Sue uses her invisibility to get through the crowd because she had to, quote unquote. And then Reed can stretch and save a fireman off the side of the bridge. So I get why the scene is the way that it is. But then right afterward, like within minutes, there's a press conference. Larry King has canceled Victor Von Doom, and they've already given them their name. The Fantastic Four are here, like very quickly.
I also like how as there's like big heroic moment of everyone like, oh my God, this issue that you guys caused, you then saved. Like, because that's what it is. I mean, it's all because of Ben. And I like that Ben looks over and sees his wife, and she just takes off her ring and puts it on the ground and just walks away and is like, nah, fuck you, Rockman. And he's just like, oh man, come on.
This is the most concise divorce I've ever seen on screen. The woman just looks at him, shakes her head, puts the ring down, walks away, and we never see her again.
I would say I wouldn't even classify the bridge scene as action. There's really only one true action bit, and it's at the very end. But I do kind of like that Johnny doesn't want to be cooped up, so he goes to this arena to ride dirt bikes. And that kind of culminates in like the tension of the group, which I think is important because it does play a big part in Ben Grimm not wanting to be a rock man anymore.
Yeah, I'm glad you said culminates, although I would say that Ben Grimm never wanted to be a rock man. In a fight scene that features everything from Johnny's crumpled up product placement car to literal fireballs being thrown at Ben Grimm, we see a little bit of the tension just kind of like boil over the top for everybody leading into the next act of the film.
Yeah, that's probably true. Nobody wants to be a rock man.
So after the bridge scene, we get our first montage, and it's everybody trying to figure out what's quote unquote wrong with them. They even use the term symptoms in the beginning of the movie. Like they all think that they're like sick with something and that it's a condition to be solved. Reed even, and what really motivates Reed to solve it is the fact that Ben has turned into a rock man. He says, I'll do whatever it takes to turn you back to normal, buddy. If you didn't have Johnny and Ben, the rest of this movie would just be talking heads and pseudoscience. But because we have Johnny and Ben, we get the face tickle, like shaving cream trick scene that helps to ground them, make them a little more human, while Jessica Alba, Reed Richards, and Victor Von Doom are all doing weird science/business things.
I also like that during that montage, you get Doom just blasting a hole through one of the board guys, and he's like, go back to where you came from, and then Doom just shoots a hole through him.
That guy got what he deserved. At first, it's like, oh, it's just the board guy. He just fired you, and then he goes, go back to where you came from. It's like, oh, he's racist. No, you can kill him, Vic.
Yeah, you can kill him. It's fine. Let's talk about the final fight for a second, because there's a lot of things that I think lead up to the final fight that are really good. One thing I like that Johnny throughout the entire movie is like, I could probably fly. And then when push comes to shove, he flies. I thought that was really good. But I really love how at the end of the fight, it's literally just Reed being like, well, let's just freeze him. Like, we'll make him really hot and then we'll cool him off. That's literally the solution. It's just, we'll heat him up and then we'll cool him off.
It's another moment where Reed, the super genius, uses a very simplistic scientific solution. It's also a callback to when Victor first captures Reed and says, what happens when you super cool rubber, Reed? And then later, Reed goes, hey, what happens when you cool off metal after you've superheated it? It freezes, right? So ultimately, we get the nice callback, and like that's their rivalry, right? They are each other's nemesis.
Kevin, what do you think of shirtless Chris Evans?
Oh my God.
In the end, Dr. Doom is sent back to Latveria by Leonard, his assistant, and he comes back in the 2007 one. But I figured, let's talk about some fun facts.
Yay!
So, Stan Lee said that his favorite performance in Marvel is Michael Chiklis's The Thing.
Why?
I think because, honestly, I mean, for one, the prosthetics on The Thing look really good for 2005. I mean...
Oh, I agree.
He looks phenomenal, especially for the time. I mean, some of it's a little wonky, but overall, he looks really good. But I think it's just the embodiment of Ben Grimm. He's the protector of Reed. He's kind of the muscle of the group, but he's also got a very soft heart, Also, Paul Walker was considered for Johnny Storm before Chris Evans.
Interesting. That's a very different Fantastic Four movie.
Very different. We mentioned Jessica Alba's little underwear scene on the bridge, and that was added after she agreed to do the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Gross.
Yeah, thanks, Tim Story.
we kind of mentioned this, but when Johnny Storm goes off in the Alps to go skiing after they get back from the space station, he flies off a side of the cliff, turns on fire, crashes, and creates a Human Torch hot tub where Maria Menounos, who's the Nuvi girl at some movie theaters, joins him without questioning anything.
This movie does a very good job of hitting every single beat it needs to hit for a Fox movie from 2005.
Absolutely. And finally, Ben only has 4 fingers. He lost a finger in the transformation.
I did not realize that, and I feel like an idiot for not recognizing that right away, but you're right. He only have 4 fingers in the comics, right? Now you're making me question it. I'm like having a real Mandela effect moment. Like, does he always have 4 fingers?
It's okay. I'll put up a picture and it'll confirm it in the edit. Here it is.
Perfect. Yeah, for every Jessica Alba nudity or scantily dressed joke that we get 1.3 hot naked Chris Evans jokes, which makes me want to ask us both the question that we will answer on the count of 3. Who do you think is hotter, Jessica Alba or Chris Evans? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Michael Chiklis.
Nice.